Hey guys, welcome to Caelesti Update 46. I've got a ton of really great features to show you today, but before we get into it, there are a number of things we need to go over first. The video does have chapters, so you're welcome to check below and skip ahead if I'm going over anything you already know. Firstly, a huge welcome to all the new viewers of the channel. I've gained over 10,000 subscribers in the last month alone, which is just insane. I really never thought that Caelesti would get this kind of attention, and I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying watching its development. This is the first update in a new era of Caelesti, where each update will follow a number of shorter, single feature focused devlogs. No doubt these are the sort of videos that probably brought you to the channel in the first place, and I have a ton of new ideas for additional content in this style, so stay tuned. Update 46 is already available for download. You can find it on Modrinth, but before you ditch the video and start playing around with it, I should let you know about one small thing you have to do with your fabulously optimized instance. Polytone, as well as many other mods, have been struggling with Minecraft's regular game drops, and a number of things are somewhat broken at the moment, especially as a result of preparations made for vibrant visuals. Light maps, fog, block models, entity rendering, and GUI have all been updated in quick succession, and as a result of the issues this has caused, Polytone isn't actually included in the most recent versions of Fabulously Optimized. Caelesti is very much reliant on Polytone's features, and you can indeed play on 121.8. All you have to do is head over to Polytone's version page, download specifically Polytone 121.8.354 Alpha, and add it to your Fabulously Optimized instance. By the time Update 47 is finished, I'll be sticking to the most stable Fabulously Optimized release to ensure a smooth experience for you guys. If you do have any issues with using Caelesti, head over to my Discord and someone there should be able to give you a hand. With that out of the way, let's get on with the showcase. There have been a couple of miscellaneous changes to the pack. Every new release of Caelesti comes with a new menu panorama, but this time around there's a new pack PNG as well as a new pack MC meta, which dictates the text you see here on the resource pack selection screen. I've also created a brand new splash text file which is filled with references, Easter eggs, and tailored nods to original and long-standing supporters of my projects. For those of you that are new to the channel, this could very well be your first Caelesti update showcase. In the past, what I'd do is lay out all of the things that I'd changed in my super flat world here, and then just talk about them for upwards of half an hour. I'm going to try and keep my ramblings to a minimum going forward, but I will inevitably yap, so there, you've been warned. So, welcome back to Caelesti. I have quite a number of cool features to go through with you guys today, and we're going to get straight into it. So first of all, flowers. Flowers have had all of their biome-based CTM removed because they now have proper color maps that use Polytone's custom tint index system. So every single flower that I have made so far, including tulips, poppies, dandelions, allium, they all now have color maps that correspond to the local grass color. You can see over here I've got like tulips in a savanna, and they transition over to a nice regular green here, and then we've got like a darker, I think this is like dark forest over here, they match that as well, and of course snowy over in this direction. We have the very pale, very desaturated stems. They're all looking awesome in their respective environments. The previous system of flower CTM did actually replace the head of the flowers as well as the stems, but the heads are all just kind of the same color in every climate right now. I don't know if I should do a secondary color map for all of the flowers' bulbs, but if I should, then let me know, because it could be a cool thing to do. All it would really come down to would just be desaturating the flowers in certain environments. So like in a savanna, for example, you wouldn't have these like insanely bright and vivid flowers. I know for a fact that dandelions and poppies do spawn in savanna, and they look a little bit strange because obviously the stems are very dead and very dull, but the flowers themselves are doing fine. So we probably should do a color map for all the flower bulbs as well. It's definitely an idea for the future. I've also had another look at the scattering dandelions feature that I've added previously. Whenever you place a dandelion in a certain biome, or when it spawns in a certain biome, it will instead have this like scattering dandelion effect instead. And I think this looks really good. I've changed these around to look a lot similar to the allium model. You may remember this one from the last update where it's kind of two cubes on top of one another. That should have a back face. Should that have a back face? I feel like that should have a back face. Maybe I'll do a back face for alliums and scattering dandelions, actually. You know what? It's even more important on the scattering dandelions. Yeah, probably should do a back face. Oh, I love back faces. They're so good. We're going to be getting to those in a minute. But yeah, so scattering dandelions are looking a little bit different. Alliums are also looking a little bit different. They're much taller now, and the leaves have been kind of limited to the very bottom of each stem, which I think looks pretty good as well. I'm really happy with the way these look. These are like a prime example of something that's going to stay in Caelesti for good. I'm very happy with these. Really quick side note about grass, but Polytone allows you to modify certain block properties. Many blocks in the game, especially flowers, have the ability to randomly offset their X, Y, and Z like location ever so slightly when they're placed down. I've disabled the Y offset variation for grass, which means that grass always matches up with the grass block that it's placed on. So you never have like half pixels at the bottom or anything like that, which can look a little bit strange. So they just always spawn at the same height now, which I think is good. Really quick change to the skeleton here. The skeleton's breastbone has been reduced in size. Can you believe previously this was like a 4x4 segment, and now it's just a 2x4 segment? It looks so much better like this. So I can't even remember who recommended that, but thank you. That was a good recommendation. Skeleton breastbone is small now. For all of you that skipped this far into the video immediately, welcome. We're going to be talking a little bit now about my Backface Glass, which has become quite popular in the last few weeks. It's actually gotten me a ton of new viewers and subscribers on the channel, which is it's just really awesome. I think a lot of people saw this on YouTube Shorts and thought that it was just Glass CTM, and Glass CTM has been done to death. There are mods that have Glass CTM. There are resource packs that are a decade old that have Glass CTM. It's not a new feature. I know. I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to be baity. I thought people would recognize what was going on, but obviously the important thing about this glass is that you can see the back side of it. That's the part that was special. Come on. So the Backface Glass itself is nothing new, but I have made some corrections to it, some changes that make it work all the better. So right here you can see the exact scenario in which Backface Glass was giving me problems beforehand. When glass was placed up against a stair block like this, the inside face wouldn't get cooled, and you would be able to see Z-fighting where it was trying to render this texture and the stairs texture in the exact same spot, and it was just ugly, and it occurred quite frequently, so it kind of made the whole feature a bit rubbish. So I decided that I was going to try and come up with some sort of solution to this, and it really was as easy as just nudging the back face in ever so slightly so the game isn't trying to render the stair and the glass in the exact same space. Now, if you've watched the glass development video, which I'm sure you probably have, then you will know there is a tiny issue with this, which is actually, it's not visible here. Let me just quickly place some glass down like this. So the issue occurs when you have this shape of glass, and if you zoom in really far, you can see there is a slight gap there. Now, trust me, there is no way of getting rid of that gap that looks good or even works in like any other situation. But the gap is so small, it's so tiny that you can't even really see it unless you specifically zoom in and go looking for it. So I think that this is much better than having Z-fighting whenever you have glass placed against stairs or slabs or anything else that just simply doesn't cool the glass. I think this is a much better payoff for the effect that we achieve by having this complex CTM and model setup, and I think it looks really good. And so do you guys, so thank you for joining the channel because of this glass. Like, a lot of you joined the channel because of this. And I couldn't exactly update regular glass without also updating stained glass, so I've also done all of the stained glass colors as well. Each of these models now have the same model technique as the regular glass, so the back face has been nudged in ever so slightly to avoid those potential Z-fighting issues. But the colored glass has also received a huge palette upgrade across the board. So where these would have previously had only two colors, one for the center area and one for the border, they now have an actual like block palette, which just makes so much more sense. They have the same palette and the same texture system as the original glass, but with one extra color for that center area. So colored glass has gone from being two colors to being more complicated than glass, which is just, that's how it should have been the whole time. It's just an old feature. I was being lazy. It looks way better now. Many of you have been asking for the Backface Glass as a standalone pack, and I really have no qualms with doing that. However, the glass feature in my mind isn't really finished just yet because I haven't done glass panes. Now, I am planning to make glass panes and put them in update 47, and once that's done, I'll probably release all of the glass together as one standalone pack. And since I'm doing that, I might as well also make the Backface Glass system with the vanilla textures and release a vanilla-friendly version of it for those of you that don't like the Caelesti style textures. So if you want to play with the Backface Glass, but you don't want to play with Caelesti, you'll have to wait around for update 47. In the meantime, if you're up to it, you could always download update 46, have a look through the files, and extract just the glass if you really desire. I will warn you though that my folder management style is very unorthodox. Tinted Glass is now also looking a little bit different. In addition to getting the same backface treatment as the regular and stained glass, it now has two unique texture systems for the front and back faces. You can see here the front face of the tinted glass has these much smaller and streaky lines representing the crystals, whereas the back face of the glass has much larger, much more dense crystals. There are a couple of things worth noting here which I think are kind of interesting to talk about. So first of all, if the tinted glass is placed directly up against a block, that inside face will actually cull. You can see there that the back face is not being rendered right now. In addition to that, if you have quite a long tunnel of glass here and you look straight through it, then you can kind of see the back face quite obviously. So you can kind of see both of them independently in different scenarios. Someone really ought to like go through the Caelesti playlist and see just how many renditions there've been of the diamond and emerald block. But they're done now, I think, maybe? I don't care. So diamond blocks have been adjusted once again. This time it's just a palette change. The darker tones on the bottom right hand corner of the diamond block here have been just brightened a little bit, which means that the whole thing kind of flows together more nicely when used to build a beacon base like this. Tripwires have also been updated in this update. They're just a bit smaller now, and they're also a bit more translucent. It really just makes them ever so slightly more difficult to see when you're sneaking into a jungle temple. Large red mushrooms and glow shrooms have also had their models updated in this version. In Caelesti version 0.23, each of these three faces that you can see here would have had the exact same texture. What I've done is add a ton of different variety to the weights, which means that each of the faces of these blocks, including the top, bottom, and all four sides, they're all picked independently, which means that you will never find a block with the same face on all three sides. Or, I mean, you probably can, but it's probably just very mathematically unlikely. Additionally, I've also updated the glow shroom spots just a tiny bit. These larger spots on the side now have a little bit of detail, so they have a different color on the top, bottom, and center. I really like this change. I know it's such a subtle change, but it's so good. Every single time a brown mushroom spawns now, there will be a chance that it also attempts to spawn mushrooms on the side of the block that it's placed on. Now, let me tell you, this actually comes into play more often than you'd realize. You find mushrooms underground, you find them on logs now, you also find them in mushroom fields, you can find them in the nether. Mushrooms spawn flipping everywhere. They're just everywhere, right? So this kind of a setup happens really frequently. That looks horrific though. What is that? So these mushrooms that you see here on this side of the block, they're likely stemming from this mushroom right here. That one on the corner, I'm not actually as sure. That one might be coming from this one, or it might be coming from this one. I don't know. Actually, I can just find out. It's coming from that one. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, this one right here is actually stemming from the mushroom placed on this block. You can see there, I place and remove it. And because this mushroom is placed right up against two blocks, it's shading this in a really weird way. I don't know what to do about that. There isn't really much that can be done about that, unfortunately. I'm really not sure what kind of an effect Vibrant Visuals is actually going to have on the lighting system in the game, but if it does help with things like that, then I'm almost definitely going to start using Vibrant Visuals. Even having just discovered this lighting error whilst making this video, I'm still keeping this feature in. I think it looks really good the vast majority of the time, especially with the fact that mushrooms now spawn on logs naturally. I think that's a really cool feature to have. And here's another feature that you might have already known about. It's the third feature showcase devlog. It's the lily pads. These lily pads are insanely complex. I will try my best to explain it as best I can here. I just realized how satisfying it is to try and walk over these. So these lily pads come in quite a number of variants. First of all, there are 8 texture variants, and they're also at 2 different angles of rotation, and the model itself is also rotated 4 ways, so you have lily pads here facing one of 8 directions. On top of those 8 variants, we also have sub-variants as well, so each of the 8 textures have an alternate version, which is just a bit more yellow. Each lily pad has a root system. Right now, there are 26 different systems of roots, but these roots occasionally branch off and sprout a smaller lily pad. Aside from just being really cute and small, the small lily pads also have like color variants as well. So you can see here we have a yellowed lily pad. We also have a yellowed small lily pad as well. And we have a brand new water lily model which sits atop these lily pads. There have been quite a number of people commenting on my videos recently reminding me that water lilies do not grow directly from the center of lily pads. You're correct. You're right. I know. I already have an idea to rework the entire root system to include the water lilies so that they're separate from the lily pads, but it's just a nightmare to figure out. If the water lily doesn't spawn in the center of the lily pad and it spawns at the edge instead, you run into a whole number of other issues. Like, say, for example, the water lily spawns like here. Well, now it's clipping into this block. So what now? You know, I mean, Caelesti's full of these weird sorts of issues. We just went over this, like, not 30 seconds ago. But I want to get it right, so if I ever come back to these again in the future and give that another go, I will take that into consideration. Currently, we have 3 variants of water lilies. You have the white ones, the yellow ones, and the pink ones. And there's also a unique lilac or blue water lily that spawns in a specific biome. I'm going to head over to my... Oh, lag. Head over to this other part of my testing world right here. So you can see here we have the swamp biome with all these lily pads here. It's looking quite swampy, but we have the mangrove swamp, and now we have variegated lily pads with the brown streaks, and we also have the unique lilac water lilies. They look so good. I really love the way these look. I've adjusted the biomes here so that we have swamp on the very far left side and mangrove swamp on the very far right, because I wanted to talk a little bit about how the variegations actually work. For those of you that don't know, variegations is quite simply referring to the streaks of color that run across all of the lily pads. The obvious choice with how to tackle something like this would just be to replace the base textures using biome-based CTM, but I already decided that I just didn't want to do that anymore. Now that we have so much fine control with Polytone's unique color map system, why not try something a little bit more experimental? Each lily pad texture is separated into both the base and the variegation, and those are both on separate elements with different tint indexes. As you move from the swamp to the mangrove swamp, the base texture remains the same with the exact same tint, but the variegation transitions from the same base color to the unique brown color that you have in mangrove swamps. Polytone's unique use of the tint index system is already great for pack development, and this new system of having one texture have two different colors applied to it is going to make things even more interesting. I can already think of a couple of things this could be used for in the future, but I'm not fully sure it would work, so I'll leave it on the shelf for now and we'll come back to it down the line. In the lilypad devlog video, I actually mentioned an additional variant of these variegated lilypads that would spawn in jungles. You can see here they're not in the project right now. They were very briefly, but I removed them quite quickly because they were just very obnoxious. They were very vivid compared to all the other colors that you can currently find in lilypads. I do want to re-add those, and I have a really interesting idea of how they could be re-added in a good way. When I first started looking into what Polytone could achieve, I found the sample resource pack that you can download from the wiki, and it contains some incredible stuff. The grass color map uses this rainbow-like texture which varies based on a maths expression. Now, this is not something I have any experience in using, but I can definitely learn, so I want to figure out how those expressions work so I can bring them to lilypad variegations. Not only will it make for a better looking lilypad in the biomes that it appears, but it will also mean that the variegations aren't on every single lilypad. Instead, there'll be a collection of different levels of variegation, kind of moving through the biome in a very natural and flowing way. Or at least that's what I have in mind. Whether or not that's actually possible, I don't know. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the dirt. Once again, I'm sure many of you have already seen the full thought process behind the development of this dirt. It's one of the most popular videos on my channel, so I'd be surprised if you haven't already seen it. But for the sake of this showcase, I'm going to go over a few aspects of this dirt once again. So right off the bat, I do want to say I am currently missing farmland, rooted dirt, coarse dirt, and also mud, which I'm now considering working on as well, but I'll be coming back to those at some point in the future in another devlog video. So to go over it quite quickly, in cold biomes, at high altitudes and deep underground, dirt will now spawn with pebbles in it, as you can see here. It's not in every block, and there is a bit of variety with how many pebbles and the size of the pebbles that appear, but pebbly dirt will now appear in specific environments. On top of that, we also now have an entirely new color map system for the dirt. So every single dirt texture, whether you see it on dirt, grass, path, mycelium, or podzol, it now comes with a color map. And this is only possible because of Polytone's dual color map system. Many years ago, I tried to get this working because I realized that grass had this really specific property where you could actually target the dirt part of the grass block with a color map using Optifine. Unfortunately, it just didn't work properly though, so it wasn't really feasible. It wouldn't work for things like path because I believe the feature got made before path was added to the game. I don't know. I just remember trying this years ago and it didn't work, but it is now very much possible because again, Polytone has just given us the ability to target specific tint indexes and target them with, a specific color map, it's just so good. I can't get over this feature. It's a game changer. Now there are further adjustments that need to be made, and I actually have a really cool idea for an upcoming video where I'm going to design a tool which is used for testing this sort of color map stuff. Those of you that have been around on the channel for long enough probably know what I'm talking about, but it will be the version 2.0 of something that I have already made. So I'm sure immediately someone's going to comment with the exact right answer, but I'm going to get working on that straight after Caelesti update 46, and that will give me a really good ability to judge how color maps are going to look at different altitudes in different biomes in a really easy way, and I'll obviously make the tool available to you guys when it's made as well. Once that tool is available, it will make fixing all of the current color map problems much better. If you are playing with Caelesti update 46 in 121.8, there is a chance that you might run into some weird dirt colors in certain environments. I think there's a couple of mountain biomes right now which have the pebbles and get snow, but they don't actually get the desaturated cold looking dirt that you would usually get in most cold environments. So there's just inconsistencies in certain places, and unfortunately, it's just a lot of things to test and make sure of. So this tool that I've bigged up quite a bit now, it's going to make it much easier. You'll be able to find unique colors of dirt in plains, pale gardens, swamps, jungles, savannas, deserts, shorelines, snowy environments, rivers, and also mushroom fields. I am planning on adding even more variety to the dirt in the future. One idea I have in mind right now is to add mycelium roots running through dirt in mushroom fields. It would be really easy to add because it just uses the same overlay system as the pebbles do right now. So if you have any additional ideas for how we can vary dirt, depending on biome or additional features, then do let me know in the comments below. Before we move on to some of the simpler changes in today's update, it's also worth noting that the item models for each of these have changed as well. So each of these item models use a different variant of their respective block type, so they don't all have the exact same dirt texture underneath. So this is variant 0, variant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when I eventually get on to doing farmland, rooted, and coarse dirt, they will be 5, 6, and 7. So onwards with the final changes for today's video. I've made some quick tweaks to the dark oak wood. I released my new dark oak wood very recently, and I still do really like it. The end texture of the dark oak is just, it's so good. I really like it. I think it also matches up really nicely with oak, given that I've also changed oak a little bit now. This is still got to be one of my favorite things I've added recently. It looks so good. It looks so good. Some quick tweaks to the way that this bark looks right here. You can see the palette for the outside part, not the internal part, has been changed. It's a little bit darker, a little bit more desaturated in certain spots, and I think it just generally looks better. I've found in the past that tweaking the contrast of my palettes can usually just have like a massive impact on the overall look and feel of a texture, so I think these are looking much better now. Caelesti is now CIT free. CIT, or custom item textures, is how you previously used Optifine to do things like visual enchantments and renamable armor and tools. And as you can see here in Caelesti, a blank name tag, when you find or trade for a name tag initially, it doesn't actually have any written text on it. But as soon as you write some text on it, you get this kind of texture through here, which shows you that the name tag has been used. But Minecraft does have quite a few Easter eggs, so if you name a name tag Dinnerbone or Grum, it will flip upside down. It looks like I've spun it around in the item frame, but I have not. You can see there in my inventory, it's actually upside down. We also have the rainbow sheep one for Jeb underscore. It's just pulsating through some rainbow colors. It looks pretty good. We also have Johnny, which is actually a missive. The red part in the center here glows in the darkness, which I think looks pretty cool. We also have Toast, which is just this one. I kind of struggled with theming for this one. It's just white and black because Toast is white and black. That's kind of all I could really come up with. And we also have Creeper Magnet underscore, which is a reference to the Creeper's code. TCC is a very cool data pack that you should absolutely try, so definitely give it a go. There has been this crimson stem root that I have had in the pack for so long, and it was kind of unfinished and didn't really tile very nicely and didn't even really have a good palette. I think I initially added it to the project 5 years ago when we did the Nether update. Around about that time, I was just hooked on resource pack development, and when I was working on the Nether update, I worked on it in secret and released a trailer to announce it to the world, and it was just so fun. It was a great period of time for me. But unfortunately, the Crimson Stem root looked a bit shit, so it's been removed. A quick note about chest models in 121.8. As we've been moving through the 121 versions, entity models have been changing, and Optifine and ETF and EMF, they've all been kind of a bit inconsistent with how they actually handle models. Now, in 121.8, if you're using Fabulously Optimized, all of your chests should be working. You can see here, they are working, textures are working fine, animations are working fine, the trap chest is also working fine, you've got the little tripwire hook in there. Weirdly enough, though, the ender chest is broken, and I have absolutely no idea why. The pack currently contains no model, no textures, no CEM, nothing at all for the ender chest, and yet when it's in the item form, it just looks really strange, and I don't know why. I have a feeling that maybe the item version of the ender chest is using like the regular chest's CEM model. But what? Why? Why would you do that? I haven't specified that. Just be the normal ender chest model, please. So if you're playing in 121.8, your ender chest can look a bit weird. I am planning on doing a really unique model and texture system for the ender chest at some point in the future. I just need to work out a few details before I actually get started on it. So this shouldn't be an issue forever. It's just an issue now because the ender chest doesn't actually exist. But if this is an issue for people, this is kind of annoying, then I'll attempt to fix it. It does look a bit stupid in the inventory, really. But it works fine when you place it in world, so happy days. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the rails. A lot of you don't seem to know that my rails are actually a bit cursed. The side texture of my rails is like a trapezium. I don't know how no one really... I mean, some people really care. Some people have definitely picked up on it. In the past, you haven't really been able to zoom in that far to see just how this texture works, but now, with the Zoomify mod in Fabulously Optimized, you can zoom in pretty fucking far, and you can see how this system works. The side of these rail textures is actually a 2048 by 1024 rectangle, like that. And that's how we do trapeziums in Voxel game. They're actually just jaggies. A little while back, I was in the VC in my Discord server, and I pointed out this, odd setup that we have here for the side of Rails, and someone realized that the pixels actually went one above where they should be at the very top part there. So I've now adjusted the whole thing and moved it down ever so slightly, so it's slightly more satisfying, I guess. I don't know how this can be satisfying. This is just like treachery as far as I'm concerned, but I guess it technically works a little bit better now. Just don't zoom in on my raised rails, just don't do it. And that'll do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It's been a long time coming, but this release of Caelesti also comes with a brand new website. Over the last few weeks, I've been working with Magnagen, who has been creating a feature showcase site for Caelesti, where you can view each of the recent devlogs. It's looking great, and it'll only look better as more content gets added. Thanks again, Mag, for your work on the website. I wanted to give a special thanks to my newest supporters on Ko-fi. For those of you that don't know, I have a Ko-fi shop where you can donate and have your Minecraft skin added to Caelesti, appearing as a rare zombie variant. Joining the roster this time, we have Ordana, Heidi, Violet, Guns and Chips, Morpheus, Crystal Okami, and Oppie. Thank you so much to all of you who've donated to the project. Since publishing Update 46, I've actually had 2 more donations, so to Steampunk Toad and Home of the Chicken, your zombifications will have to wait for Update 47. Make sure to join the Discord where you'll gain access to the private supporter chat and see progress on your skin. My Ko-fi was started quite some time ago, and it's been a great way of allowing people to directly support what I do, but after a lot of requests in the recent comments, I am planning on eventually moving over to Patreon. The zombification service will run to completion over on Ko-fi, but any new donator content will now be available on Patreon. For now, Patreon members will gain access to all of the Caelesti devlogs and update showcases completely ad-free, and going forward, I plan on posting Caelesti preview versions and also crediting my supporters in the outro of full update showcases. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing the development of Update 46, and I hope you're looking forward to what I have planned for Update 47. If you want to stay up to date, remember to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, take care, and bye-bye.